You're listening to the Plane Talking UK podcast, the UK-based podcast written by a passenger for anyone. And here are your hosts, Carlos Stebbings, Matt Smith and Neville Bounds.
Well, hello and welcome to episode number 213 of the Plane Talking UK podcast. I'm Carl Stebbings, and joining me in the barn studio again this week is my co-host Matt Smith.
Hello, yes, hello, welcome. Episode 213. We're rocketing through them again, aren't we? I don't like it. Yeah.
Be close to 250 soon.
Oh, shush.
I know.
I haven't got over the 200 yet, and I know Nev certainly hasn't. So.
And also joining us this week from his estate in, well, just outside
London.
London.
Estate?
From his estate in the garden this week. He's doing a bit of kind of spring watch, I think, bird watching. It's Sir Neville Bounds.
Yes, hello everybody. It's very nice out here still. It's probably still 20 degrees, which is just the job. And so I thought I'd bring the gear outside just for a change. And
actually, earlier in the show, before we started, of course, everybody missed a bit of a trick because dear Mrs. Nev, hard-working Mrs. Nev, was busy in the garden working as absolutely she was gardening. Did I hear that right on the old news this morning, where it was like the heady heights of 29 were reached yesterday in London?
Yeah, it was about 29 or 30. I was driving back.
My goodness.
So I had lunch with Captain Nick yesterday, and I was driving back up the A3, and the temperature hit 31 at one point.
Honestly, I don't know, on hobnobbing with all these celebrities. Whatever you like, yeah.
So joining us on the show this week as well, we've not got the Queen or the King or anyone like that, but we've got
Where are you going with this?
We've got the king of safe flying, the master of all things health and safety. It's Pilot Pip.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Happy to see the weather back there is nice because it kind of sucks where I am.
Oh, really? Oh, well, that makes a change.
And whereabouts in the wide world are you this week then, Pip?
I'm in Columbus, Ohio, in the US of A. And actually, that's a bit of an exaggeration. The weather today is very nice, but it has been all over the place this week. It was snowing quite heavily on Monday and Tuesday.
Wow.
Are you doing some flying out there, Pip? Or are you training or flying? Or
no, it's a sim recurrent. Every 6 months I'll be coming here. So this is my first sim recurrent since the initial training 6 months ago.
Oh, wow.
And this is on the Phenom?
It's on the Phenom, I'm afraid, yeah.
Well, he wouldn't be receiving training. Like I say, he wouldn't be receiving training on the Hawker now, would he? Let's be fair.
So, is it safe to say, Pip, that all the Hawkers have all gone now, or are you still?
Well, we've got a small number still clinging on for dear life, but they'll be gone within the next year or so, I think.
Brilliant.
But but no, it's been lovely. I came across a few days early and spent the weekend in New York, which was fab. I love New York.
Yeah, me too.
I love Manhattan, hanging around, and I was fortunate enough to meet up with David Abbey and Tanya.
Yeah.
So we had some fun in New York. And then just last night I met up with Jennifer, who of course lives here in Columbus, and James, who's a local as well. So
James Balch.
Yes.
Yeah,
we went out, had some drinks and had some dinner and had a very nice time.
Fantastic.
So today is the last day. I've just finished the sim training and I fly home tomorrow. So as soon as we're finished here, there's a bunch of us are going to go down into the city of Columbus and have a bit of a victory beer.
And there was me thinking you were going to have a few of the people that you were there. I thought perhaps you were going to have a party in Pip's room.
Party in Pip's room, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, you wouldn't want them on the show, I promise.
No, fair enough, yeah.
So we're going to say a massive warm welcome in to everyone who's joined us in the live chat room this evening. All the usual suspects. Matt's pointing at the dip.
It's actual torture because I know I can't eat them right now, and it's
just literally down here. There's a pile of nachos, and then just next to that, there's some red pepper,
and it's gorgeous.
Matt's quite.
Are you sure it hasn't got catnip in it?
No.
I'm a bit obsessed.
And there's actually also some muffins here as well. There we go, some muffins. There we go.
Can I show you my victory donut?
Nice.
Very nice.
Shall I take the first bite?
Yeah, I should absolutely. Yeah.
So we're going to welcome all the chat room people in this evening. We've got Flipsy, Jordan Rose, Lane Street, Liz Piper, our main man Mike is in there, Mariana, Mash is also in the chat room, Neil Landwarn, hello to you, Richard Adams, Richard King and Tony S as well in the chat room, all chatting away between themselves. And we're also going to welcome someone into the to the barn studio.
Oh, you're not going to do that
who's
to her,
just
are you?
actually walked in after her run. So you haven't seen her for a while because we're obviously in the barn studio now. And it's my lovely wife Gemma. She's come to see us. You've got my hat on. Or if you go around that way, actually, you'll probably get on Matt's camera. There we go. Gemma's come to join us.
There we go. Look, there we go. What on earth are you doing here, dear?
I've just done like 4 miles. So I thought,
4 miles?
yeah, so I just sort of come here on the way back.
Oh dear. Yeah, absolutely. I can say, please take them away from me. I can't. Anyway, sorry. We should focus on the task at hand.
Yeah. Hello there. You look very red-faced, dear. 4 mile run. Mariana says hello. Various chat room. Did you like that? Studio lights, yeah?
Yes, yeah, new
It's
lights.
nice, isn't
Yeah.
I could see it from out the waving. So that's fine.
Yeah, that's all part of the fun. Yeah.
Oh, bless. Thank you for coming to see us. All right, bye-bye, dear.
Bye, Gemma.
Bye-bye.
Short and sweet.
So, yes, as I was saying, welcome to everyone who has joined us in the chat room tonight. It is the 20th of April. It's just coming up to 6 minutes past 7 in the evening here. I must say we have had some rather extreme weather here in the last few days in the UK. It's safe to say that I do believe we may have had some sun. It's as yet to be confirmed.
Danger.
I think we managed to get up to 20. Oh, bloody
29.
29
hit in London.
29 in London. Yeah. So we actually did have some heat here in the UK. But I have to say that the forecast for next week is not
going
brilliant.
back to what we used to.
Yeah, going back to what we used to here. So yeah, there we go. So we have got loads of news stories to bring you this week.
Top of the show, one of which I'm very nervous about listening all about. To be fair, so.
we've obviously got the news story. We've got some military this week as well. So Jonathan Warner, if you're listening, we've got some military for you as well.
It's not just for Jonathan.
I know. We've not got an NPE or Nev's passenger experience tonight, but he has got a few in the production kind of stage at the minute, Nev. So there we go. So anyway, Nev, how are things with you on this fine evening?
Very good. Yes, I've had quite an interesting aviation-related week. As I said, I had lunch with Captain Nick and Jilly yesterday down at their place. I was down in Portsmouth and I was just coming back home, so I popped in. And then today I had lunch with Andy from the A320 podcast, which was very nice, and we sat in a nice beer garden around Covent Garden and Leicester Square area. That was very pleasant indeed. And just before that I went to the US Embassy to have my interview for my global entry thingy. And I've been approved, surprisingly.
What?
So they're going to
that is indeed impressive.
You up with the plebs. That's the idea.
What will that do for you, Nev?
It means that I haven't got
Global
to go for the big long queues. So I just use my passport and my fingerprints. And
do you have a visa, or are you still working on an ESTA?
You need an ESTA as well, but you can do it on an ESTA. You don't need a visa.
Because
I'm wondering if there's an advantage to global entry if you have a visa as well. Maybe
possibly
something I could look at.
Yep, very possibly.
I know. Dr. Steph knows a lot about it. I've heard her sort of mention it on APG and they use it quite a lot, don't they? It's a very easy way of sort of.
It's quite interesting going into the new US Embassy. It's not been open for very long, and it's very nice inside, and it looks very spectacular from the outside. But it is in quite a horrible part of London, I have to say.
Is it?
So it's a bit weird from that angle, but no, it's very good, and of course very nice weather today as well, so it was a great day actually.
Absolutely. Yes, and of course Andy's just had a baby, hasn't he, from the
about
A320?
3.5 weeks ago, and that's all going quite nicely. She's sleeping well, so that's great.
Congratulations from all us here at PTUK to Andy then.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
So a good day today. I'm glad it's. I always say this on a Friday, but I'm glad it's Friday.
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely. Yeah, well, at least it wasn't a 5-day week, or at least it was a 5-day week, I should say. So you're not trying to cram 4 into.
Have we got another bank holiday? We've got another bank holiday coming up at some point soon.
Yeah, we have, haven't we? It's It'll be the start of, it'll be the May bank holiday, won't it? So it'll be
May Day, 1st of May, yeah.
Oh, lovely. More time off.
Yeah, well, you're right, okay. Anyway, shall we do some aviation?
We'll do some aviation, shall we, guys?
Yeah,
right, okay, so we are going to start the show then, as we do each week, with our rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if you're ready, Matt.
I am indeed, yes.
If you're ready, Nev.
I am, yes.
And if you're ready, Pip.
I am.
Let's go. So, kicking off this week's first news story then, this one is on the bbc.co.uk website. And
I'm absolutely dreading this
story. It's a story that obviously we've all heard about this. I think if you haven't heard about this story, then you must have been, well, on a very small island somewhere in the South Pacific. But anyway, Southwest Airlines had an incident earlier on in the week, and they had, it's safe to say they had an uncontained engine failure.
Right, that's one word for it.
Yeah, so the story then, moving on from the story, a similar engine fault behind a fatal mid-air engine explosion that punctured a passenger jet window was reported apparently in 2016. It's emerged. A female passenger died after she was nearly sucked from the cabin of the Southwest jet from travelling from New York to Dallas on Tuesday. Investigators say there was a fault with the engine's fan blades, the cause of an incident 2 years ago. US aviation authorities are to order inspections of similar jet engines. Southwest Airlines Flight 1380, a Boeing 737-700, was carrying 149 passengers and was forced to make the emergency landing at Philadelphia Airport on Tuesday following a fault with one of its CFM56-7B engines. An initial investigation found evidence of metal fatigue where a fan blade had broken off, according to the US National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB. A similar incident was recorded back in 2016 involving a Southwest flight that landed safely in Florida. Fan blades that have undergone a certain number of flights will have to be given ultrasonic tests, the Federal Aviation Administration has said. It added that the Airworthiness Directive, which will require inspections of large number of CFM56-7B engines, would be issued within the next 2 weeks. The CFM56-7B engine is used on more than 8,000 Boeing 737 aircraft worldwide, the manufacturer says. Last year, the FAA estimated that some 220 of these engines would require testing, having carried out a certain number of flights. On Wednesday, other airlines that use planes fitted with that engine, including United Airlines, American Airlines and Delta, said they have begun inspecting some of their aircraft. So the story then, what have investigators said? So NTSB Chairman Robert Sumwalt told reporters that a fan blade had broken off due to metal fatigue and that a second fracture had been recorded about halfway along its length. He could not say if the incident indicated a fleet-wide issue with the 737-700. Mr. Sumwalt also said a casing on the engine that was meant to contain any parts that came loose, but due to the speed, the metal was able to penetrate the shell. The FAA did not say how many engines would be inspected. It said that any fan blades that had failed inspection would have been replaced. So in 2016, a Southwest Airlines flight that made a safe emergency landing in Florida after a fan blade separated from a similar CFM engine. Debris ripped a hole more than a foot long in the fuselage of the jet on the left wing and caused a cabin decompression. An investigation into that incident also found signs of metal fatigue, according to the NTSB. So we have got a recording which is of the flight itself, of the incident. It's from the awesome site liveatc.net. Really good site if you want to go and find some interesting ATC recordings. Take yourselves over to there. There's loads on there to choose from. It's all categorized as well, which is really handy, so you can see when the specific dates that you might want to look at some stuff. And you can also listen live to ATC transmissions. But we have got that transmission from that flight for you to listen to now. It's been compressed and compacted, so it's got no sort of kind of blank spots. But we're going to play it for you right now.
Southwest 1380, if you're trying to get me, all I hear is static.
Southwest 1380 has an engine fire descending.
Southwest 1380, you're descending right now?
Yes, sir. We're single engine descending. Have a fire number 1.
Alright, Southwest 1380. Okay, where would you like to go to? Which airport?
Give us a vector for your closest.
Okay.
Philadelphia.
We're just flying 250.
Okay, heading 250. We're looking at Philly. That's
Southwest 1380, roger. And stand by. Southwest 1380 to the Philadelphia airport. Direct.
Direct Philadelphia, direct Southwest 1480.
Southwest 1380, do you have traffic just below you?
Say again for Southwest 1380.
Southwest 1380, New York.
Southwest 1380, go ahead.
Southwest 1380, understand, so there's a fire, you're a single engine for the fire?
Actually, we're no fire now, but we are single engine.
Okay, you are single engine now, okay. So the next facility, I guess it's, can you maintain 11,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so 1380, instead of maintaining 11,000.
Okay, down to 11,000.
Southwest 1380, just so I can understand, you said that you are still single engine, and what else?
Okay, Southwest 1380, we're single engine. That's it.
Okay, single engine. Maintain 11,000, you need anything standing by on the truck?
Yes, if you would, have them roll the trucks. It's on the engine number 1, captain side.
Okay, thank you. Southwest 1380, contact New York Center 135.45.
3545, good day.
Southwest 1458, turn right heading 180, expedite your descent to 2100 and get you right in.
Okay, 2100, right turn, Southwest 1458.
We need a single channel, no more channel switching.
Southwest 1380, you're on approach frequency 128.4, you're where you should be, maintain 4,000, and do you need any further assistance from me? What type of final do you want? I heard short, or long?
Yeah, we're going to need a long final.
Okay, I'm going to let you drive until you tell me you want to turn base, okay? So that'll be at least a 25-mile final. Longer than that, I'll have to do some coordination, but that'll be fine. We'll get that done for you. You let me know when you want to come in.
Okay, 20 is good, and we may need shorter here in a moment. Tell me the runway we're setting up for.
We're going to set up for
Say again?
Southwest 1380. You'll be landing 27 left today. And you just let me know when you need to turn base. Right now, I only have one person in front of you, which is a Southwest, but I'm sure he'll pull off if you need to go right in.
Southwest 1458, we got...
Okay.
Southwest 1458, clear visual approach 27 right, keep your speed up. I'd like to get you on the ground before I have to turn her base.
After that, speed up, clear base shield 27 right.
Okay, center.
Southwest 1380. 1380, I got a 1458 on frequency. I just cleared him for the approach. Southwest 1380. I understand your emergency. Let me know when you want to go in.
Yeah, we have a part of the aircraft missing, so we're going to need to slow down a bit.
Southwest 1380, speed is your discretion. Maintain at any altitude above 3,000 feet, and you let me know when you want to turn base.
All right, down to 3,000, 210 on the speed.
Absolutely. You just let me know anything you need.
Southwest 1380, you'd like to start turning inbound. And
Southwest 1380, just start turning southbound there. There's a Southwest 737 on a 4-mile final. We'll be turning southbound. Start looking for the airport. It's off to your right and slightly behind you there. And altitude is your discretion. Use caution for the downtown area. Advise you maintain at about 2,200 for the MVA.
okay, could you have the medical meet us there on the runway as well? We've got injured passengers.
Injured passengers, okay. And is your airplane physically on fire?
No, it's not on fire, but part of it's missing. They said there was a hole and someone went out.
I'm sorry, you said there was a hole and somebody went out? Southwest 1380, it doesn't matter. We'll work it out there. So the airport's just off to your right. Report it in sight, please.
In sight. Southwest 1380, airport's in sight.
Southwest 1380, you're cleared visual approach 27 right. Contact the tower on 118.5. Southwest 13, I'm sorry, cleared visual approach 27 left. 27 left and towers on 18.5.
We're going on 27 left. Switching tower. Good day.
Tower Southwest 1458, visual for 27 right.
Southwest 14 to 58, you can cancel your approach clearance. I need you to make a left turn heading on 180 and climb and maintain the 3,000. The emergencies needs to come in right now.
Okay, climb maintain 3,000 heading 180, Southwest 1458.
Southwest 14 to 58, contact approach on 128.4.
24, yeah.
Go tower Southwest 1380, landing on 27 right.
Southwest 1380, you want to land 27 right?
27 left, I'm sorry, 27.
Southwest 1380, runway 27 left, clear to land, wind 280 at 19, gust 25.
27 left to land, southwest 1380.
Southwest 1380, right turn when you're able. If you want to stop wherever you need to is fine.
Thank you. We're going to stop right here by the fire truck. Thanks, guys, for the help.
Do you have a frequency for our fire chief?
Southwest 1380, if you go over to 135.1, they'll be there.
1351.
And that's it. Wow, that is.
There we go. I hope you guys enjoyed that in the chat room and on the show. It's safe to say that it was. She obviously kept her calm. There's no doubt about that. Really incredibly calm. And at the beginning of the transmission, you could obviously tell that she was on oxygen, using the microphone.
Presumably
and the
that's
mask.
while they're descending, is it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the whole incident, M-Pip?
Oh wow, it's a nightmare, isn't it? We've been kind of doing this sort of stuff in the sim this week, not necessarily an engine failure like that, but having a decompression at high altitude is such an intensive, busy time in the cockpit to get your oxygen mask. And putting the oxygen mask on makes communication so difficult. You wouldn't believe how much more difficult it is just to hold a normal conversation with the oxygen masks on. So to have all that going on, to have all the noise, to be initiating an emergency descent, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's a really busy, very stressful time. So yeah, full marks to the crew for doing a fantastic job. And that is full marks to the crew, not just the captain, although she did a very nice job, of course. It really does take two people. And as usual, it's always a bit disappointing to see that the captain gets all the praise and all the adoration in the press, but every bit as much credit to the first officer, because you couldn't do it with one person. You really couldn't, or at least not safely.
And I presume because she was,
it takes two people.
The captain obviously was the one who was operating the radio. Presumably, the first officer was the one in charge at the time, then, or is that how?
Well,
it works,
it depends. The way we like to run these things, regardless of who's pilot flying, generally what we'll have is the captain, the commander, will kind of take a step back, and they'll be the one running the checklist, so that the actual control of the aircraft will switch to the first officer. They'll actually be physically flying the aircraft, and then the captain can sit back. You identify what's going on, what sort of checklist you need to pull out, what the failure is. You kind of confirm who's flying the aircraft safety first, and then they'll go for the checklist. You run through the checklist, and that could be quite a quick thing, or in the case of a decompression like that, there's probably more than one checklist to do. There'll be an emergency descent checklist, there'll be an engine failure or engine high vibration checklist. So that can take quite a bit of time, and all the time, you're rocketing out of the sky at perhaps 10,000-15,000 feet a minute, trying to communicate on oxygen masks. But yeah, generally it's the captain. They'll be able to take a step back, run the checklist, and then they'll be able to kind of take an overview, have some time to think, maybe make some calls, talk to their own company, their maintenance department, and make some decisions, and then perhaps have a conversation with the first officer. Probably, I don't know for sure, but probably maybe she took over control for the actual landing. That wouldn't be unusual for the captain to take control finally. But yeah, it's certainly a team effort.
And can I just sort of say, obviously, from I mean, obviously, all we're hearing is like the ATC, obviously, of what was going on, there and then at the time of this incident. I cannot imagine what on earth must have been going on in the cabin behind them. I can't even comprehend what the crew and the passengers, because I mean, you're going to have an awful lot of very scared people, aren't you, in a situation like that, especially if you've lost, pressure, and obviously that you've got a window that's broken. That's why you've lost pressurization and things. I mean, we haven't really heard much from the crew, if you like, at this stage. As I say, as a very, very nervous passenger who's only recently just sort of got back into flying, this is not something that I feel very uncomfortable.
What are your thoughts, Nev? Obviously, you probably saw this as well, breaking.
Yeah, I think the operation of the aircraft was excellent, by the sounds of it. The handling, everything about it. I think what you've got two things to think about here. Southwest run an awful lot of these aircraft with these engines, the numbers of sectors they do each day, the numbers of rotations. It's a very, very highly used engine and aircraft. These things happen from time to time. Luckily, it's extremely rare. And as Tony pointed out in the chat room, one of the questions will be, how is it possible to have an uncontained engine failure?
Agreed.
I was talking to Nick about this yesterday, actually, and we were talking about the possibilities of what might have happened. And it seems that the trajectory of the blade, or may not have been the blade that went through the window, but something ejected from the engine because of the broken fan blade, by the sounds of things. And unfortunately, penetrated the window.
Of course, one of the other things that what little we have seen of the cabin inside was how many people were wearing their oxygen masks incorrectly. It's some of the pictures that we've seen on social media, and you're just thinking these people have literally paid no attention to the briefing that they were given.
You say that, Matt. I was just reading in the chat room, Lane Street has just made a really, really, really important point. And this is one that I make to Gemma whenever we fly long haul or any particular flight. And that's to keep your seatbelt on at all times. I know it's all nice to have your seatbelt off and stretch out and lay around and stuff. But, even when I'm watching the telly, sleeping or whatever on an aircraft, I always have my seatbelt done up at all times.
The other thing that I found a bit strange, which I shouldn't really laugh, but I did find it slightly funny, with these people wearing their oxygen masks incorrectly, who on earth took the picture?
Perhaps it was the guy who was live streaming on Facebook that I read online. No,
did that really happen?
I saw a report on I forget where it was now. It's on one of the news feeds that there was actually a guy live streaming on Facebook during the event itself when they'd got down to a lower altitude, obviously. But
probably sent in a complaint about how poor the bandwidth was as well.
Right. Yeah. Well, there is that. Yeah. I mean, I must. I've had several emails, one of which especially from Brian Coleman. I'm sure he won't mind me name checking, who's sort of written to me, obviously, because I am on this show, but I'm well known as a very, not a keen flyer, I think is a fair word. And I must be honest, an incident like this does make me feel very, very nervous, because this is the one thing that, as a nervous passenger, you are absolutely terrified about happening. Now,
this situation is just so. I mean, this is, I would think, literally a 1 in a billion occurrence. I mean, I can't think of another incident where someone's, a window's been smashed and someone's been taken out.
Okay. I mean, cast your mind back to Qantas a few years back when they had the incident with the A380 and they had an uncontained engine failure on that aircraft. There was loads of pieces of shrapnel that flew off that engine and pierced the wing and various pieces of the fuselage. And it was for this piece to hit the window or break this window. It's a 1 in a billion chance of that happening. It's.
I suppose, and he says, trying to make light of the situation again. The chances of me fitting through one of those windows is probably. I mean, I do a fabulous job of plugging the hole. I think, to be fair. So it's just.
Well, without getting into gory details, I don't think she was actually sucked through the window. I think it was just more head injuries sustained as a sort of a head was pulled.
Right, I see.
Through it. That's what I'm imagining anyway. But
it's very sad.
It's
indeed,
just horrendous. I think saying it's a 1 in a billion event or whatever is no consolation at all to that woman's family.
And obviously, I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say here that obviously our thoughts are with everyone that are involved in that, and let's hope that everybody can sort of, I don't know, put it behind them and move on, I guess is the best thing to say there.
So before we move on to the next story, but quick mention hello in the chat room to Adam Spink. He's joined us in the chat room, so good evening to you, Adam. Hope you had a good holiday. He's been on holiday.
Yes, absolutely. Him and Director Krennic have been very busy.
They have been very busy, yes, indeed. So moving on to the next story then, and the next story is obviously all for Matt.
And I'm never quite sure why Carlos gives me a picture story when I'm the one reading the story. So I'll have to try and bring those up. Maybe I'll probably bring those pictures up in the edit. But there we are. Okay.
By the tragedy of Southwest Airlines flight.
I see. I've got the sound on my machine, haven't I? That's what's going on. Hang on. Let me turn that off. So yes, absolutely. This is on the independent.co.uk, as Simon just said there, and the headline is Ryanair is the world's safest airline after Southwest flight's mid-air tragedy. I'm not entirely sure this is something that should be celebrated, frankly, but anyway, within hours of the emergency landing of a Southwest jet at Philadelphia and the news that one passenger died after a catastrophic engine failure, flight number 1380 has disappeared from the airline's schedules. From today on, the 10:30 a.m. departure from New York's LaGuardia Airport to Dallas Love Field is known as Flight 8881. Something else changed after the mid-air tragedy, in which Jennifer Riordan was killed. Southwest Airlines lost its finest unblemished safety record in the aviation. I'm not going to read this story because, to be honest with you, I find it quite offensive that we're talking about something like that when somebody's just sort of lost their life. So I'm going to ask maybe Nev if you wouldn't mind moving on to story number 3, please.
Yes, of course. Yes, yeah, I fully understand that. Just go back to what you were saying as well. These are such rare incidents that, and I can understand, Matt, why you're feeling anxious about it. Yeah. But perhaps another one of those chats with Captain Al might be in order, actually.
Yeah, I think you might be right, actually. Well, sorry, it's not like me to be like this, but genuinely reading these stories and that is making me genuinely like choke up and feel quite
totally get that.
Emotional.
Anyway,
about it, so.
Let's bring some amusement to the proceeding, shall we? And of course, we have to go to the sun.co.
Of course, absolutely. It's our own comic.
Just don't bring up the pictures on this story.
Oh, right. Oh, no.
But anyway, it says that families could save a packet this summer as kids get free flights on British Airways flights within the UK. If you're flying between Heathrow and Edinburgh, Aberdeen, Glasgow, Leeds, Newcastle and Belfast, then children under 12 will travel free with a full paying adult. Up to 2 children can travel free per adult, even during the school holidays. Tickets must be booked between now and May the 13th for flights between June the 1st and November the 5th. Adam Daniels, British Airways Chief Commercial Officer, says, we know it can be a struggle to keep the kids entertained over the summer holidays. Once one break from school finishes, parents have to start turning their attention to the next one. And with so many fantastic tourist attractions and activities for kids across Britain, the offer also looks to give UK tourism a boost by encouraging families to visit London, the North, Scotland and Northern Ireland for their holidays. The airlines also opened up a dedicated family check-in zone at Heathrow's Terminal 5 to speed things up for families heading on holiday. There's also a free kids menu at Gordon Ramsay Plain Food and Huxley's Restaurant and Bar in Terminal 5. Well, that's all very nice, isn't it? Nice to see a bit of a positive promotion going on. And yes, my kids are 28 and 31, so I haven't got to worry about all that.
No, full price.
Lots of people that have to deal with school holidays and what are we going to do with the kids? That's a nice offer, isn't it?
It makes a change though, because normally when you're paying for holidays for kids and stuff, when the school holidays hits, that's when the prices normally quadruple.
Absolutely.
Everything is more expensive when the kids are on holiday. So I think it's good for BA to be offering free kids fares. That's good. Yeah.
Well, they need some good publicity because, frankly, Nev's passenger experience has done a great job of ruining all that.
It's a shame it's only on UK destinations, which I think BA really has 3 of, doesn't it?
Right.
You either go between Manchester. Do they go to Glasgow anymore?
Edinburgh, Glasgow, Leeds.
Glasgow, Edinburgh, and that's kind of it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just not. Yes,
it would have been nice to have some European destinations, but there we go. No, still good on that.
Dublin as well.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
I would include Dublin. Well, that's nice.
Yes. I can recommend. Although I'm not entirely sure that I like the idea of a load of children going to Dublin to drink Guinness, but perhaps that there's some questionable parenting going on right there, I fear. But
actually, Pip, with 2 young children yourself, do you find that the flight prices are quite extortionate for when you take the kids anywhere on aircraft?
Well, of course, during the school holidays it is, but that's it's not a surprise.
But other than that,
it's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what the last time we flew was. Well, we went to Disneyland last year. It was pretty expensive for the kids because it's a seat. You know, it doesn't matter who's sitting in it; it's a seat anyway. So
perhaps you should have kids' seats in aircraft. But there we go.
Well, maybe this next story is going to.
Yes, moving on to the next story
in that direction.
Good luck.
Is this my one?
Yes,
it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So this is from Forbes.com. Will future airline passengers fly standing up or sleep in the baggage compartment? Airlines clearly need to stick to their knitting and focus on what's truly important, as the recent tragic engine explosion that killed a Southwest. Nonetheless, the lure of lower cost and cramming in ever more passengers seems irresistible to airlines and the manufacturers anxious to cater for them. Hence, these upcoming innovations for passenger comfort, standing seats and lie flat beds in the cargo compartments. Not to mention the first
Hello. Oh dear.
Pip.
He's disappeared. Oh no.
Mid-story as well.
Oh dear. Do you want to pick it up where he left off? Someone. Hang on.
No. He's definitely gone.
Okay.
He's definitely gone.
Hopefully he'll come back in a minute. Yes.
So, nevertheless, the lure of lower costs and cramming in even more passengers seems irresistible to airlines, and the manufacturers anxious to cater for them. Hence the upcoming innovations for passenger comfort. Standing seats and lie-flat beds in the cargo compartment. We covered that story last week, didn't we?
We did.
Not to mention the first single-aisle twin jet capable of carrying 200 cramped passengers on an 11-hour flight marathon. In 2010, Ryanair Chief Executive Michael O'Leary first proposed standing seats for short-haul flights at the bargain rate of £4 British. It was reported as if it was a joke or a publicity stunt, like his related suggestion that Ryanair might start charging £1 for customers to use the toilet. But O'Leary's stated goal of removing and replacing 2 of 3 onboard toilets with additional seats was seemingly heard, as the new Boeing 737 Maxes boast tiny toilets and more seats. Now, like an unkillable villain in a horror movie, standing seats are back too, in the form of Skyrider 2.0. So Italian seat manufacturer Avio Interiors demonstrated the Skyrider 2, which some are calling saddle seats, at Aircraft Interiors Expo 2018 in Hamburg. The upright seats have a long back and narrow saddle for the passenger's posterior. The goal is to help airlines achieve ultra-high density and get more passengers in the cabin by cutting the space between rows. Concerns about declining amounts of seat pitch in airliners may become a thing of the past. The designs get the 2.0 designation to distinguish it from Avio Interior's first attempt, which failed to get FAA approval. The new version boasts extra padding plus poles from the ceiling, think holding on the crowded subway car, to the cabin floor, anchoring each row. Objections to the seats are many, ranging from the lack of seat pockets, inability to store luggage below, I suppose that's an issue, and lack of an in-flight entertainment screen. Okay. Yet Avio Interiors claims that the new seats may offer many benefits, although they all seem to go to the airline rather than the passenger. The design of the seat enables the increase of the passenger number by 20%, allowing increasing profits for airline companies, according to a spokesperson for Avio Interiors. Skyrider 2 weighs 50% less than a standard economy class seat, and the reduced number of components enable a minimum maintenance cost as well. Sitting upright, according to Avio Interiors, will provide passengers with adequate comfort. If you're looking for more comfort on future flights, perhaps a lie flat seat might hit the spot. Lie flat seats, of course, are widely available in the premium cabins of many long-haul flights, usually for a premium price. Lie flat seats are available on some Airbus A330 aircraft. Hawaiian Airlines offers them, and New York to Hawaii flights, but a lie flat berth in the A3 cargo compartment, which we covered that story, didn't we, last week? But Matt, you popped the pictures up on the screen now while doing the story.
I did. Yeah, there's
of
not
these seats.
I don't think I'd get behind the seat, not to being funny. it's
Nev, what do you think of these?
I think that looks absolutely horrific. I've never seen anything so uncomfortable in my life. And for us chaps, especially that are have the larger frame.
Yeah, ones who are people who are enjoying life. Yeah.
Honestly,
am I back with you here?
Oh, you are indeed. Yes, hello, sir.
Hello, Sorry about that.
That's all right, no problem.
Yes, I got to agree with Nev. This looks like a bad April Fool's joke.
It does, doesn't it?
It's horrendous.
It does. It's not
horrendous.
great.
But I mean, more than that they're going to be blatantly uncomfortable. I suppose you'd have to be a certain minimum height to sit on these. You know, I don't think kids could sit on these because their feet wouldn't reach the floor. What are you meant to do with if you're carrying a child, a baby?
Many things.
I mean, look at that guy's knees. I mean, they're literally up against the seat in front of him, under the seat in front of him.
It's not good, is it?
See if it's working.
I mean, Captain Jeff in the chat room is saying it looks like something you'd see on a carousel, which I think is a fair assumption. It's not good, is it? I don't know. I mean,
I mean, if they're really keen, I suppose the way they might do it would be to have a sort of a split cabin, have an economy. Not economy extra, sort of economy, super economy, and have a section of this in the back. So people really wanted to punish themselves. They could go and sit on them, while regular normal people could sit on normal seats.
You do need some support when landing, though, don't you? I mean, because they've talked about having these sort of like standing room only sort of compartments and things in the past, but I mean, if you do have every pilot obviously aims to get the craft down, smoothly and absolutely fine, but I mean, it doesn't take much for it to be a bit of a bumpy landing, and if you're standing up, that can't be very good for you.
Hello.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
It just looks horrendous from
Yeah,
any way you look at it.
Absolutely.
It's just horrible.
Yeah, cattle class is one of the options.
That picture, you've just got two seats there. Imagine a whole row of those with people crammed in. If something did go wrong, as Jeff alluded to in the chat room there, if something went wrong, it would... Can you imagine the mayhem?
Unbelievable, absolutely.
I think it'll be a while before we see anything like this.
Yeah, absolutely. So seeing as you got...
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
Do you want to take the next story, Matt?
No, I'll get Pip might as well do it, seeing as he's back, because he lost one, didn't he?
Go on,
because it all went horribly wrong.
Okay, all right, hang on, stand by. Hold your horses. This is from the birminghammail.co.uk.
Another quality aviation-related product. Yeah.
Okay, let's see if my premium internet, which I paid for...
Oh, very good.
...is going to hold on. Yeah. Okay, so Ryanair, EasyJet, Jet2, British Airways, and Emirates are recruiting. How to apply. So I think this story starts with Ryanair. Do you know what, Matt? You might have to read the story.
Oh, okay. All right, then. Do you fancy...
I don't seem to have it.
Okay, fair enough. Do you fancy a summer job? Well, you're in luck. Ryanair, EasyJet, Jet2, British Airways, and Emirates are all currently recruiting. There are roles up for grabs in Birmingham. We've had a look at some of the jobs which are available now with some of the most popular passenger airlines. Here is how to apply. With Ryanair, Ryanair has announced that it is recruiting over 200 cabin crew for its bases throughout the UK. CrewLink, Ryanair's recruitment partner, will be hosting recruitment events in the East Midlands, London and Manchester in the coming weeks, and all interested in these positions are welcome to apply. Full training will be provided, and prior experience is not necessary. Applicants will have the opportunity to be based in one of Ryanair's UK's bases upon successful completion of training. Ryanair currently has over 9,000 cabin crew.
Wow.
The one thing they don't mention is you probably have to pay for all your course yourself. But anyway, we'll gloss over that and move on. These people are responsible for maintaining the highest industry safety standards whilst providing a best-in-class customer service experience. Reasons to join them include free training. Free training? Ryanair offering free training? Did I hear that right? Wow. Allowance paid during training, free uniform in year 1, uniform allowance in year 2, £700 new joiners allowance, competitive basic salary, productivity bonus, flight duty pay / sales bonus, year one on-target earnings of 18k, fantastic promotional opportunities, guaranteed 2-year contract with offer of permanent contract thereafter, great choice of bases, stable 5-on 3-off roster, staff travel, security of working for a financially stable airline. I will give Ryanair that. They are very good at that. Ryanair's head of talent acquisition. Now, there's a phrase. Talent acquisition. Mark Duffy says that our recruitment partner, CrewLink, will be hosting recruitment events in a city near you in the coming weeks. This is a fantastic opportunity to join Europe's #1 airline and start your dream job as cabin crew in 2018. Further information can be found at it's careers.ryanair.com. That is careers.ryanair.com. Manchester, London, East Midlands. Manchester, London, East Midlands. Manchester, London is basically where it goes. Anyway, moving on to EasyJet. EasyJet is holding assessments days for cabin crew. There are none in the West Midlands, so if you'd have to head to either Luton or Gatwick. Again, direct experience is not necessary, although you will have an advantage if you worked in a customer-facing role before. Where and when are EasyJet holding their assessment days? Well, they're basically holding them at either Luton or Gatwick over many days. Best bet is to take yourself to birminghammail.co.uk and search for this particular story. I'm just trying to see. So Jet2 are also recruiting. And Jet2 Holidays are marking its first anniversary at Birmingham Airport, and to celebrate, the company is creating new jobs and offering families whose children share a first birthday a real birthday treat, the chance to win a free holiday or free flights. It's been quite a first year for the leading leisure airline and package holiday specialist since its first flight from Birmingham Airport in March the 30th, 2017. Is that really how short they've been? Wow. The company has flown more than 800,000 customers to and from its newest base, and strong demand has enabled the company to enjoy continued growth. A year ago, the company flew to 23 destinations from Birmingham, whereas today it operates 39 destinations from the base, with capacity more than doubling for summer 2018 alone. At launch, the company operated 4 aircraft at the base, whereas during the peak season in summer 2018 there will be 9 based aircraft at Birmingham. So it's good news for there. And on to our favourite airline, obviously British Airways. So British Airways is recruiting cabin crew staff to work from Gatwick Airport. The airline says, a real team player, you will work closely with colleagues to make great things happen for our customers. Crucially, you're always ready to adapt to change and innovation. Whether you're responding to changing conditions mid-flight or trying out a brand new service, you will aspire to be the very best, with customers at the forefront of your mind. You will have plenty of opportunity to make a difference. It's all about flying our customers in style to a wide range of destinations, including Ibiza, Barbados and Bermuda, taking care to provide experiences that set us apart from the competition. I can think of one Nev's passenger experience, not that far long ago, that took place not that far away from this very room that we're sat in, that would disagree with that strongly. Emirates is the last one that we'll mention, and it's basically if you're able to move to Dubai, then you could consider a career working for Emirates and flying around the world. Emirates, which connects Birmingham to the Far East and Australia through Dubai, is recruiting cabin crew staff. You must be at least 21 years old and 160 centimetres tall. Fluency in other languages is desirable. So there we are. So yes, several airlines are busy looking for cabin crew. I know that everybody keeps saying how short they are of cabin crew, so it makes sense that they would be having a recruitment drive.
So those links are over on, if you could take yourselves over to the birminghammail.co.uk and search for that story there, recruitment, airline recruitment, you'll find there's all the links there on that page for all the various airlines to apply for if you are in a chat room and you feel like joining one of those airlines.
Also, if you're listening afterwards, it's not just exclusive to those in the chat room.
No.
Anyone can advertise for the.
Shall we apply now?
I don't. I mean, well,
given a choice out of those airlines, who would you apply for a job? Go on. You've got EasyJet, you've got Jet2, you've got BA, you've got Emirates.
I mean, the long and the short of it is everybody is looking for a particular look, if you see what I mean. And yeah, the only one that might consider me is Ryanair.
I'm just looking behind you there on the camera.
Yeah, absolutely. There is.
For what it's worth, Matt, I think you'd make a lovely flight attendant.
Oh, I dare say I would. I dare say I would. It's, you know, but there may be a small problem in the fact that I actually like people quite a lot. And certainly in my experience of some flights, apparently liking your passengers is not necessarily a requirement of being cabin crew. But anyway,
obviously, we know who Nev would apply for.
Jet 2, surely.
Yeah.
Although I do happen to know that Jet 2 is a rather good airline. In fact, so I wouldn't mind giving it a go.
We know that, don't we?
So,
Do we? Why do we know that?
We down the top 10, did we?
We did. Oh, no, that's true. Yeah, it was the only UK-based one, wasn't it?
Come on then, Pip. Before we move on, who would you apply for?
Ooh, for those advertised jobs, cabin crew and ground positions. I don't know. Maybe Emirates, so I could go and have some fun in Dubai. So it's kind of cool city to hang out in.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I bet that is. Do you know that is on my bucket list? Not Emirates, Dubai.
Dubai.
Yeah, Dubai is actually on my bucket list of somewhere I want to go.
You can go with Gemma at the end of the year,
right? Okay. I think it's a bit of a girly holiday. I may stand out a little on this particular
shopping and handbags, and that's all about. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, if they can find one in my colour.
Okay. Yeah. So Nev, as the next story is a BA story. Do you want to take the next one?
It is, and this is. I do not want my boss at work to read this because it worries me a lot. It says, it's on the Coventry Telegraph.net, and it says British Airways has launched basic airfares on a number of long-haul routes.
Oh no! Abort!
I can't read the story, it's just too much. No. Passengers will be able to purchase cheaper flights to popular destinations, including the US and Asia. The new fares will be available on flights from London to hotspots, including Dubai from £143 and the Dominican Republic from £240. Other destinations include Texas from £246, Boston from £175, Delhi from £210, and Hong Kong from £228. Passengers will still be served complimentary food and drinks on the flights. However, passengers will have to pay to check in hold luggage, which will cost approximately £80 for a return journey. But you do get 2 pieces of hand luggage, so if you can pack lightly, you'll be able to avoid the fee by not taking any hold luggage. Plus, you'll have to pay £20 if you want to select your seat, or alternatively, you'll be assigned a seat by the airline, which won't cost you anything. Okay. This is not my kind of flying, ladies and gentlemen. Can I just tell you? But for those who want to do it, as cheaply as possible, those fares are pretty good, actually. I'm busy looking. It's nice to see them offering some possibilities.
Is it the trouble is that as you're reading that story, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, is this Ryanair? It's just
yes. I think the thing is that what they're trying to do, and obviously IAG, the parent company of BA, took a stake in Norwegian recently, and I think this is to try and head off a bit of that, because if they're not careful, they might end up with Norwegian doing a lot of this kind of flying, and it will take a lot of business away from BA.
from themselves. It's although it does beg the question, why have they taken a stake in Norwegian? But yes, it did this. I fear that. Dare I say the word potential merger? Perhaps that's a frightening.
I think something might happen along those lines. It wouldn't surprise me.
Scary stuff. Carlos looks like he's been slapped over the face with a wet fish. What's the matter, Carlos?
No, I was while Nev was reading that story, I thought I'll have a look at BA's flights to Dubai.
Okay.
Obviously, because that's what was mentioned in the story there. At the same time as which Gemma is off to Dubai at the end of the year in November, and they actually are nearly the same price as what Emirates are charging from Stansted to Dubai.
Is that good or bad?
It's a few. No, well, this is from Heathrow to Dubai, flying out in November on those dates.
Who's that with the Emirates? Are you comparing?
This is with BA.
No, BA versus who are we comparing?
Oh, this is with Emirates. Yeah.
See, because to be brutally honest with you, based on the negative experience that my boss and my two bosses had when going to Las Vegas, I can't help but feel that if I had to choose between BA and Emirates, that I would choose Emirates.
Well,
even if it was cheaper to go with BA, I would probably still choose Emirates.
So it comes out at if you want to fly fly economy from London Heathrow to Dubai each. This is per passenger return. Right. You're looking at £600 for the two of us, so £300 each return, which is not too bad. If you want to fly premium, I was quite surprised actually. Premium economy with BA from London Heathrow to Dubai comes out at £400 each. Just an extra £100 to fly premium. Wow. That's bizarre.
That's quite cheap.
That is really cheap. So,
and what do you get for premium though? What's the difference between
a slightly better seat,
right?
Bit more room.
Okay.
Probably a better menu as well, I'd imagine.
Right.
Nev.
Okay.
Nev.
Yeah. Sorry, yes. My volume was turned down because of the amount of bird
wildlife.
So that actually does prove a point. While we're doing the show live, I have looked, and then it is. They are. I was shocked. I thought they were going to come out really expensive. But no,
it's not bad at all, actually.
Yeah, it's good. So Pip, moving on. The next story, if you've got that one ready on this one is on the Telegraph,
the Daily Telegraph. Yeah, absolutely. Telegraph.co.uk.
Pip.
Yes. Yeah, I'm here with you. I've totally got this story ready.
He's
like I don't know what's
he's
going
like a
on
coiled
today.
cobra.
I don't even need the internet for this, and it's not coming up.
Is that an iPad, Pip?
Don't you dare start, you over there. You could be quiet immediately. Yeah, stop it. Otherwise, I'm going to send Nev round because absolutely. Deary me.
Okay. Hang on, just give me 30 seconds. Not even 30 seconds.
Okay. Should you play some music while we're waiting?
I can eat.
Here we go. No, I got it.
I can eat some crisps if that helps.
All right, this story then is from the telegraph.co.uk, as Carlos just said. And this is all about Primera Airlines, or Primera. I'm not quite sure how we're pronouncing that.
I'm going to go with Primera because it sounds a little bit more exotic.
Wasn't there a squirty cheese called Primera?
There was a very nice
Primula.
I could say there was a nice
Primula.
Primula.
There was a nice car made by Nissan that was called a Primera.
Oh, that was the Primera. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going with the squirty cheese.
Okay, fair enough. Primula. Okay.
All right, introducing the little-known budget airline that's taking on the world from Stansted.
Ooh.
It's loading up an advert. Hang on a second. Okay. People are getting smart. They're willing to travel, and travel should become more affordable, explains the chief commercial officer at Primula Air.
That's a good dive. Well done, yes.
The technology is there, so why not share it with the customers to give them the opportunity to travel, she says. The low-cost airline this month launched its much-anticipated long-haul routes from London Stansted to New York, Washington, D.C. and Toronto, with one-way fares for the Big Apple and Canadian capital starting from just £149 and Washington from £199.
Wow. Carlos, look that up now.
Yes. Yeah. No, not wow, it's Primera.
Oh, right, sorry.
Primera. I don't know what this is.
Primula, yeah, okay, yeah.
Primera is the latest airline to join the increasingly competitive low-cost long-haul market, following in the footsteps of the likes of Norwegian, WOW and Level, offering cut-price seats without hold luggage or food and drink. But the Icelandic Latvian-based carrier, I'm not quite sure how that works, with a Danish operating license, is the first to do it out of Stansted. There is a big demand. Everything's gone very quiet. Are you guys still there?
We're still here. Don't panic.
Sorry.
We were listening intently, sir. We were listening intently.
There is a big demand from the catchment area of Stansted from Essex, says this person. London Stansted was lacking the transatlantic connectivity. To get to Heathrow from Essex is like taking another flight. Around Stansted, there is the Cambridge area, the pharmaceutical companies, and the huge demand for North America. There is the Cambridge to Cambridge, Massachusetts link. Okay.
Oh, cool. I like that.
Yes. Clever. Visnakova says ticket sales have started well for the first long-haul destinations, actually above expectations, she says, with Primera promising plans to grow its network from Stansted. By 2021, we're expecting to have 40 aircraft. It currently has 10, and we are looking at new bases, but also to expand from our current bases. We currently have a long list, which will become a short list. Primera, which began life offering charter flights for Scandinavian tour operators, but soon started selling surplus seats to regular travels as flight-only tickets, has 10 Boeing 737 Maxes on order and will be the launch customer for the new Airbus A321LR long range.
Oh, wow.
The new fuel-efficient aircraft will bolster the carrier's search for new destinations.
Very cool. So while you were reading that, Pip, Carlos has actually been looking up the stories, and now obviously the actual prices. Now they're teasing in this article that it's starting from just £149 in Washington.
Well, they always do tease.
Yeah, £199. But honestly, Carlos, so based on those figures there, I mean, how far away are they? So if say you wanted to sort of fly these either sort of Canadian Capital, Big Apple, something like that.
Okay, well we're going to go.
How are they?
Just for bits and giggles. We're going to go from London Heathrow.
Are we? Okay.
To
Heathrow.
Sorry,
London
Stansted. Sorry,
we don't go from Heathrow.
London Stansted. Sorry,
yes,
London Stansted to the Big Apple.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
good. Yeah.
And we're going to pick the cheapest seat. Okay, so it's just one piece of hand luggage.
Yeah, okay.
No
Fine.
suitcase.
Right.
So that will cost you from the UK, and this is flying out on the 5th of May.
Okay.
So it's next month.
Yeah, so next month.
Will cost you in the UK here £367.
That's really
return.
not bad, is it? Return.
Yeah.
That really is very good.
That's including all your bits and bobs. Now, if you want to pay another 98 quid on top of that, so it puts it over 400 and whatever it is pound, that will get you your suitcase checked in baggage, one of 23 kilos.
So sort of average weight then, as far as
as airlines go,
and that's basically an extra £100 if you want to take the suitcase.
So
it's a rather expensive suitcase.
It is a very expensive suitcase.
So basically,
it might be cheaper, ironically, to actually send it via UPS in advance and collect it from the hotel.
So it's less than 500 quid return anyway. It's
and forgive my naivety here, but I mean, how would that compare with someone like sort of Virgin or whatever? I mean, how much cheaper?
I think it's cheap. Nev, what do you reckon?
There was a pause while I turned my volume up. Actually, that's not too bad at all, really, isn't it? I think there's always these headline prices, as Pete was just saying about, prices from. It's a bit like, internet speeds from that kind of stuff, isn't it? It all depends. It depends so much on the when you book the flights and how much advance notice there is, and it's non-refundable, I'm sure. But again, for certain people in certain situations, that kind of works.
I mean, and also this price that Carlos is looking at here is sort of in a month. It's basically a month today, isn't it? That was it's like 2 weeks today or something like that you were looking at, and that doesn't. I mean, that hasn't really rocketed at all, has it? Because I mean, like the Ryanair model essentially is that when prices basically skyrocket the closer you get to your destination, the time that you want to go. But certainly in my experience, where United's economy really hasn't been anything to write home about, and you think, well, if I'm going to have a crap experience in economy, I may as well pay very little for it and have the same crap experience. Do you know what I mean?
I'm just looking at... so if you want to go and see Auntie Liz...
Right, yeah, I'd like to do that very much.
So if you want to go and see Auntie Liz over in Canada, I know Liz is in the chat room now.
Yeah.
A return flight over there with the taxes and fees, blah, blah, blah. Without your suitcase, just your hand luggage, you carry on, will be £344 return. That's in economy again. So... yeah, it's good. It's you've got to add meals on. Obviously, that's an additional cost for meal seat allocation if you want to choose your own seat.
But if you really weren't that fussed and weren't going to eat it, then you could do it for a sensible price.
And actually, the good thing on their website is you can choose what kind of meal you want. You can go have beef hot meal, chicken hot meal, sandwich and a drink, or a child meal or a diabetic meal, and they're all round about kind of 13 or 14 quid a meal.
Yeah, very good, very good. Pip, you were about to say before we rudely cut you off there.
And he's gone.
All right,
No, he's not.
I was muted.
No, they're being very good children. You see, making sure there's no noise coming from their end.
Yeah, I have no idea what I was going to say. So
Okay,
please
fair
continue.
enough. I'm sorry.
Anyway, no. Actually, I was going to say on that, they've...
They're saying in the chat room here, Auntie Nev says... Auntie Nev?
Auntie Nev? Hello, Auntie Nev.
Yeah, indeed, yes.
The episode where Matt calls Auntie Liz Auntie Nev.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have the title for this week's show now. Anyway, that's good news. Right, but yes, now Auntie Liz says that we're welcome anytime, and awesome. Richard Adams is suggesting a PT UK meetup then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheap.
That does seem like a really good price. That does seem like a really good price. Anyway, I think we should move on, children.
So the next story then, is it me?
I don't know. I'll pick one. You haven't read for a while. You go away.
So the next story is on the independent.co.uk website, and this is just bizarre. I think this will have to be the show's title for this week. The headline: Airlines set to install bidets on board. So Zodiac Aerospace premiered its design at the Hamburg's Aircraft Interiors Expo. To the most, not so humble, the bidet is associated with penthouse suites, the ingenuity of French plumbing, and of course Crocodile Dundee. However, bidets may soon be found aboard commercial airliners after a new design was unveiled at the Aircraft Interiors Expo in Hamburg. Zodiac Aerospace, a French company, revealed its new design in the Revolution Premium bidet at the convention this month. Are we in April, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm beginning to wonder, yeah.
The company also posted details of the product on Twitter, revealing that the device can be fitted to a Revolution toilet and includes an auto-sanitize feature.
Oh, lovely.
As reported in Travel and Leisure, the bidet will feature special disinfectant lighting, as well as both...
Disinfectant lighting?
Yeah, I know.
What the heck
is
that?
As well as front and back spritzer washing, and fittings which will work more like running fountains.
Suddenly I feel very uncomfortable.
The variations in design are aimed to suit preferences in local markets. Onboard bidets are a regular feature in first-class cabins.
Do you think they've meant to do that?
Cathay Pacific.
So that was Mrs. Nev.
Yeah, whatever.
The washing line.
Cathay Pacific 747s, Thai A380s, and Emirates A380 planes all have bidet features in their first-class bathrooms. Yeah. However, Zodiac Aerospace's bidet is set to be the first of its type widely available across commercial airlines, and is predicted to be used on a Middle Eastern or Asian airline first. It's been a very busy year for the onboard equipment manufacturer so far. In February, it announced that Singapore Airlines had agreed to retrofit its Boeing 777 fleet with Zodiac's Revolution vacuum toilet. It is also partnered with Airbus to develop a lower deck sleeping facility designed to fit inside aircraft's cargo departments. A number of innovative designs were showcased at the 2018 edition of Aircraft's Interiors Expo, including a collaboration between Virgin Atlantic and Blue Box Aviation to create in-flight entertainment systems for people with sight loss. Oh, good. Italian seating manufacturer Avio Interiors, meanwhile, raised eyebrows with their new upright seat, which we covered earlier on in the show, which is more of a saddle-like chair. But onboard bidets, Matt, how do you feel about that?
Now, I have to confess, this is where I'm going to make myself look like a complete and total moron, but I first came across a bidet in a posh hotel in Athens, where we went, where I was convinced it was something you used to wash your feet in. I didn't, and nobody tried to correct me. Both of my parents were wetting themselves during my attempt to use said bidet. I have nothing to further.
Captain Jeff's in the chat room. Yes. He says nothing like a warm jet of water up your. Anyway,
indeed, lovely family show, Captain Jeff. Please, family show.
obviously, Pip, you fly posh jets all around the world.
Do you have a bidet on your vehicle, sir?
Rather disappointingly, we do not. Have a bidet. They're funny old things, aren't they? I suppose in America and most of Northern Europe, we haven't ever really embraced bidet, but there are certain parts of the world where they do. It's an everyday thing. You mentioned Greece there. They kind of bidet lovers down there, and Southern Europe generally, and certainly Asia and other parts of the world. The Middle East, weirdly enough, are big bidet fans. Do you know what it's called in the Middle Eastern countries? A bidet?
No idea.
It's called a SHATAF.
Right, that's okay. Careful.
Rather appropriately.
Abort. Are you?
This is good information.
I have to.
They're weird.
Nev, are you regretting your decision to do al fresco studio
Yes,
work?
I am. There's been a sort of a 10-degree temperature drop in the last 20 minutes. Well, it feels
He's
like
got his
anyway.
jacket on.
My
yes.
assistant has just brought me my jacket.
Very good. Okay.
Oh dear. We'll move on to the next story then, Matt.
I'm not ready for this. Okay, yes. So
Bit
this
of a
is
posh story. Moving on.
Is it? Okay, so this is on Flight Global, is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay, and the headline is Boeing celebrates flyaway of first BBJ Max. The first business jet version of the Boeing 737 Max took off from the airframers facility in Seattle on the 16th of April, on the first stage of its journey to becoming a fully outfitted BBJ Max 8. According to online flight tracking tool FlightAware, the re-engined narrowbody serial number 61329, bearing registration mark November 329 Bravo Juliet, lifted off from Boeing's field at 09:33 local time and landed at Delaware Coastal Airport in the east of the USA 4 hours and 42 minutes later. Local company Aflot Aero Architects will now install its PATS auxiliary fuel tank, which will boost the aircraft's range to 6,640 nautical miles. That's 12,300 kilometres, some 3,000 nautical miles more than the standard Max 8, which entered airline service in 2017, and 800 nautical miles more than the BBJ-2, which it replaces. The green BBJ Max 8 is scheduled to arrive for outfitting in the fourth quarter of Colmex completions in Indianapolis. The finished aircraft will be handed over to its undisclosed customer in the second half of 2019. We're excited to see that the first BBJ Max come to life and fly through the development milestone, says Boeing Business Jets President Greg Laxton. In the past few weeks, the airline has achieved factory rollout, first flight, multiple certifications, and now a flyaway, he adds. The BBJ Max 8 was launched in 2014 as the first member of the re-engined BBJ family, which features new CFM International LEAP 1B power plants. This will be followed by the BBJ Max 7 and BBJ Max 9, the next generation versions of the BBJ and the BBJ 3, which are earmarked for green delivery in 2022 and 2020 respectively. Boeing says it has secured 20 orders for the trio to date, with the bulk of sales for the Max 8 variant.
So the Boeing Business Jet, or BBJ.
Right, that's what BBJ stands for. Right, okay.
So if you're a posh chap, Matt,
what, Pip?
And or your Pip, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're a multi-millionaire and you own a very fantastic company,
I don't think Pip's a multi-millionaire, to be fair.
You might buy yourself one of these Boeing business jets. Now they obviously look like the standard passenger jet, but obviously have heavily modified interiors,
right,
with all posh stuff in.
Okay.
You can buy one of these roundabout for $80-90 million.
Lovely,
which
right.
is not bad.
I'll order one now.
Change it for 100 million. But I can see Nev flying around the world on one of these, actually.
Okay, fair
Nev?
enough.
Yes, that would suit me perfectly, actually. Just the job.
So moving on to the next story, and Nev, this is one for you.
Yes, this is on the new civilengineer.com, and it says that the shortage of aviation engineers is a government priority. Tackling a shortage of engineers in the aviation sector is top of the government's plans. Speaking at New Civil Engineers Airport Conference, Baroness Sugg said that the government had already begun working on a strategy to ensure industry growth is maintained via a qualified workforce. She added that a full breakdown of the government's plans to provide an adequate workforce for the aviation sector will be published in a green paper this summer. The aviation sector is critically important to the future of our country, she said. Economically, it's an important time for this industry, with growth at many of our airports, as well as growth in terms of exporting our expertise abroad. She also added, in order to keep up with this growth, we need to invest in people, and the skills are needed to support the industry. The sector is estimated to support over 500,000 jobs in this country, and those jobs are spread out across the whole of the UK. Many of those jobs are highly skilled, and I know that there are concerns within the industry that we could face a skill shortage in terms of skilled technicians and engineers. The government has already started to address this with schemes such as the apprenticeships levy, and our industrial strategy is aimed at rivaling the best in the world with £450 million worth of investment. She also said that the industry was reacting well to the problem, heaping praise on EasyJet and Flybe for their respective programs, as well as noting Heathrow's skills task force as a good start. She also flagged the expansion of Heathrow, as well as negotiating trade deals for post-Brexit Britain were also flagged as integral to the future success of Britain's aviation sector. Always the same story, isn't it? There's not enough skills in our business. When I work in it, same story. There's not enough pilots, not enough engineers. So to try and get people out of university, or when they join university, on the right sort of degree courses and that kind of thing is good. But it's good to see that the government's got some priority on this.
I think it's one of those things that's not promoted a lot, or as much as it should be as well. You know, everyone knows about piloting jobs and everyone knows about cabin crew, but when it comes to kind of aviation engineers and stuff, it's not one of those jobs that's kind of in your face, you know, on a daily basis. But I think it's important, very important, especially for the younger people who are still at school, who could possibly move on to do something in the world of aviation.
I should just say, as an apropos of absolutely nothing to do with aviation, everything to do with our show, if you do ever get the opportunity to join us live in the chat room, can I strongly recommend it? Because you see a side of our co-host, Sir Neville of Bounds. You see a whole new side to him that I can't possibly discuss on air. It's a real treat for anyone who should ever join you in the chat room. I believe we have a birthday as well. That's tomorrow. Neil Lamborn. Happy birthday for tomorrow. And I know exactly what they're saying here. I remember actually when we were in Pittsburgh, which we must be coming up to the anniversage of.
Pittsburgh.
Very soon. And it, by the end of APG, which we were all involved in, it really was quite fresh, shall we say, outside.
Yeah, it was fresh.
Yeah, indeed. Anyway, sorry.
So moving on to the next story. Pip, do you want to take this one?
I'd love to take this one.
Excellent.
And he's got it ready as well.
I have got it ready. I'm just building the drama here. This is from Bloomberg.com, and it's about Spirit Airlines.
Why do I know that name?
And it says, what have you got there, Carlos? You've got some nice
He's got some muffins. Yes, indeed. Chocolate ones. You know
what I got here? I love this stuff.
What is that?
It's just chocolate milk.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's chocolate milk. I mean, you can get this anywhere, of course, but over here it seems to be a kind of a staple of their diet. You pick them up everywhere. I've got 4 right here. I've probably had 100 this week already. Outrageous.
Okay. Yeah. Time to do another marathon, I fear, Pip.
Yeah, right. Anyhow, back to business. So Bloomberg, Spirit Airlines mulls adding smaller jets to its all Airbus fleet. Spirit Airlines Incorporated is considering adding smaller planes to its fleet of Airbus SE jets. What does SE mean in this context? Airbus SE jets. Carlos?
Oh God, I did know that one. I've just
Did
gone
you?
because I'm looking on here now. And
carry on.
Someone
in the chat room. That's why we have a chat room.
Yeah. Neil Lamborn is suggesting that your chocolate milk has actually got whiskey in it. By the way,
it most certainly does not.
Okay, right.
The ultra discounts airline expects to seek proposals from plane makers shortly, having completed an evaluation of the options, Chief Commercial Officer Matt Klein said in an interview. He declined to say when the airline might make an order. Adding smaller planes such as those made by Canada's Bombardier or Brazil's Embraer would further Spirit's goal of adding flights from mid-size and smaller cities to popular tourist destinations. The airline already has plans to expand its fleet of Airbus A320 family planes to 161 by the end of 2021. Spirit had 112 of the single-aisle planes at the end of last year. Klein says, "We feel like there are some route opportunities that are not being properly served today. Any aircraft choice would need to let the airline maintain the lowest cost structure in the industry," he said. The evaluation could mean more planes from the Airbus A320 line, which comes in a range of sizes. Boeing, which makes the 737 family of jetliners, also is in the running. Spirit has said it wants to increase capacity by as much as 15% next year and in the low to mid-teens over the following several years. And the last paragraph says, Spirit planes now seats between 145 and 228 passengers. Bombardier CS-100 can carry as many as 135, and the CS-300 up to 160. Embraer's E190 can accommodate up to 144, while the E95 can seat a maximum of 146.
I didn't know a huge amount about Spirit. I obviously know Spirit exists, but I didn't know a huge amount about Spirit, so I just had a little look.
Where are they based?
Their operating bases are in Atlantic City, Chicago O'Hare, Dallas, Fort Worth, Detroit, Fort Lauderdale, and Las Vegas. Fleet size 118, 65 destinations. They've got a company slogan, which is less money, more go. Their frequent flyer program... It's quite an amusing name for a frequent flyer program. Free Spirit.
Right, okay.
So I hope that doesn't involve whiskey before the flights.
Actually, on that subject matter, I have to say the chat room doesn't believe that all you've got in there is chocolate milk, by the way. And not a single person in the chat room is convinced that you've just got chocolate milk in your container. It's... How many have you got there? Wow.
I've got 4 here.
Okay, good. Right, yeah.
There's one over there, and there's probably a couple in the bin.
Are the taps broken in the hotel? I mean,
I love this chocolate milk, and there's an unlimited supply of it down in the lounge, which I luckily have access to.
I'm guessing that stuff doesn't travel too well back to the UK.
No,
in
I
the
fear not.
suitcase.
Yes.
No, I'm assuming this stuff is quite healthy because it's milk. But let's just have a look.
No, don't do
Fat
that.
content,
No,
10 million tons.
Yes, absolutely.
Number 1 ingredient after milk is sugar.
Oh, good.
That's not a good sign.
That's never a good
sign. Salt.
Okay.
Several E numbers.
Right.
Oh, dear.
Well, it's gluten-free, though. That's something.
Right. Excellent. So it hasn't got any flour in it. What a result.
Andy Furlong says in the chat room, Airbus SE based in Netherlands.
Right.
Okay,
very good. Yeah, 95% sugar apparently, Richard.
95.
Yeah, sorry.
Maybe the B-day's broken.
Right.
Neil said, okay.
Where are you going?
I know, I'm just reading a chat room here. It's very amusing. The last story on the news segment this week, and this one's on the eveningstandard.co.uk. Headline: Chaos at Kathmandu Airport after plane skids off the runway during takeoff.
Oh, good.
So this one, quite a new story. This one has only just happened in the last day. A plane has skidded off the runway at Nepal's only international airport during takeoff. Tribhuvan International Airport, TIA, in Kathmandu, remained closed on today, Friday, after a Boeing 737 operated by Malindo Air skidded onto the grassy verge surrounding the tarmac. All flights in and out of the airport were cancelled, leaving thousands of passengers stranded outside the terminal. Haven't they got an inside? A limited service resumed on the later part of Friday today. Raj Kumar Chetri, General Manager of TIA, told the Jakarta Post the flight captain aborted takeoff at the final moment after he saw an error on the monitor inside the cockpit.
Oh dear.
He said that they're in the process of trying to tow the aircraft from the grass, which will take at least a few hours. Malindo Air, a Malaysian airline, has regular flights linking Kuala Lumpur and Kathmandu. Officials said none of the 139 passengers or anyone else were injured in the incident. In March 2015, a Turkish Airlines jet skidded off the runway as it landed, forcing Tribhuvan Airport to close for 4 days. And Matt, you've got a picture, actually quite a good picture there, Matt, on the screen.
Yeah.
Of it's safe to say that's definitely run off the
It's not on
runway.
the tarmac anymore, is it? It's definitely left the tarmac.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's definitely gone cross country, that aircraft.
I think so. Yeah,
but not in a good way.
Yeah.
But this has happened before when I've seen the reports on the various different places where I get to see the reports on and stuff. And these aircraft generally are returned to service fairly swiftly after a bit of a jet wash to get the mud and stuff off. But any thoughts, Pip, about a slight speed or braking issue there? Or
yeah, I was just trying to find these if there was listed on the Aviation Herald to find out exactly what the problem was, what caused the captain to stop.
It's the top one on the Herald website, actually.
Oh, it is. You're
Yeah.
quite right. Let's have
Yeah.
a quick look. But generally, if they're into the high speed regime of the takeoff, so usually above 80 knots or so, you're only going to be stopping for something serious like a fire or an engine failure or any control difficulties. Let's just see if it says in the story here. I don't immediately see what the problem was. A takeoff configuration warning, it says here. Well, that could be a number of different things. But that's a big decision. If you're up into the high speed, something near V1, then if you're going to abort, you are going to need to be very careful. You're going to need absolute maximum braking. You're going to need to be, put the engines in reverse because the runway is running out very, very quickly in front of you. And if it's wet or contaminated or slippery, if you're not on top of your game, you're going to use up all your runway very quickly.
In defence of this pilot, presumably whatever error message it was that he saw must have been enough for him to think, no, I need to kill this. I mean, that must be, that must be a tough call to make for any pilot to decide that they're going to abort when, as you say, when they're so close to essentially being airborne.
Yeah, well, airline SOPs, they're usually pretty clearly defined with regards to what you can stop for and what you shouldn't stop for. But of course, it's always down to pilot discretion and airmanship. So he's well within his rights to stop. The story doesn't really specify exactly what the problem was, but it is a critical manoeuvre, making a high-speed abort.
And remember, this was also the 900 series, which is the larger of the 737 series, next gen series, the 900. So it was, obviously it was how many passengers? 130. So it wasn't full, but obviously it probably would have had quite a large amount of fuel on board. I expect Pip, so that adds to the weight, and could possibly have been the reason why it took quite a while to stop. But mind you, 75 metres past the end of the runway, with all gear on the ground.
Well, yeah, in theory, you're good to stop up to all speeds up to V1, up to your takeoff decision speed. So even if you stopped at V1, if the numbers have been calculated correctly, I mean, a lot of these numbers are theoretical, I suppose, but in theory, you should have enough distance and performance to stop the aircraft.
I have to say, I'm very worried about Nev now. Very, very.
Is he
worried
chilly?
indeed. Yeah, well, it's got. It's now essentially.
It's getting very dark.
It's got completely dark.
It's gone very dark. Yes, I've miscalculated slightly.
Matt, is it me or is there frost on the tree behind?
Past 8 in the evening.
No.
And also how cold it's gone.
Yes, indeed. I'm very concerned. Are you sure you don't need to move inside, sir?
No. Fine.
Okay, all right.
It's going to be good as long as the lights hold out here.
Right. Okay.
I think
we better move on.
When we get the next Patreon payment, we'll send Nev a blanket.
I think we should. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, indeed, it'd be much appreciated.
Just a final thought on that story. I just wanted to add that certainly on the Airbus, and I know on the Embraer that I fly the Phenom. I don't know about the Boeings, but usually all but the most critical warning messages are inhibited between after 80 knots and up to 400 feet altitude. So if it's appeared on the ICAS there, it would be considered a fairly serious fault.
There we go.
Well, that's good. Going back to the Nev situation, there are several bits and pieces here that are basically saying that in the chat room here, Mariana's suggesting maybe Mrs. Nev could bring you some candles. I mean,
it's rather ridiculous, because I'm actually looking at Mrs. Nev. She's in the lounge watching the television.
Yes.
It's all very nice and warm. Right here doing this.
Indeed.
Nev's floating head.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Because we can't. All we can see is Nev's neck and head now. It's all sort of blended.
Maybe, yes. No, and I've got this jacket on. It's a bit weird.
Yes, you sort of disappeared. Yeah. Well, don't take it off, for goodness sake, sir. You don't want you cutting glass. I'll leave it there. But
that is where we bring the commercial news segment to a close.
Should move on before Nev freezes to death. I'm very worried.
So we're going to do some military news next, and then after the military news, we've got a very special piece of audio indeed that was sent in to us today by Armando, who we had on the show a few weeks back. So if you're all ready, guys, we'll push on with some military news.
Let's go.
So the first news story in the military segment this week is on the forces.net website. And the headline, Air Force perform finale in stateside Royal Air Force 100th celebrations. So the Queen's Colour Squadron of 63 Squadron Royal Air Force Regiment has performed a special display at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. as the finale for their RAF 100th USA celebrations. This 16-man I need a pint of scotch. Continuity drill was specially designed to incorporate the key themes of the Royal Air Force 100th and celebrate the world's first independent Air Force. Squadron leader Ben Alcock. Matt's got the pictures to put on the screen, possibly, or one or two of the pictures. The personnel involved are usually tasked with guarding the Queen's colour for the Royal Air Force and even hold a world record for their precision displays. In the US Capitol, they have been an integral part of the stateside celebrations for the Royal Air Force. Stateside, the US Air Force Honour Guard perform a drill for public and historic occasions. They use the 11-pound M1 rifle, and choreographed spins and weapon throws are key parts of the displays, which are slightly different to the British displays, according to Lance Corporal Tyrone Thompson. The British have passed on some of their techniques and skills and their qualities that personnel in both units must have, as SAC Benjamin Harrison of the Queen's Colour Squadron told us. In the last week, the QCS have performed every day at both air and space museums in the American capital, with further events planned upon their return to the UK. The FA Cup final soon awaits, in addition to the main Royal Air Force 100 events in July, when they will parade the Queen's colour on the forecourt of Buckingham Palace. So there we go, bit of sort of royalist news there with a smidgen of Royal Air Force news there. Very good.
Nev, perhaps you'll take story number 2 then, please.
Yes, I will. It's on the flightglobal.com, and it says that the US Air Force eyes more orders as B-21 finishes preliminary design review. Northrop Grumman has finished the preliminary design review of the B-21 stealth bomber, and the heavy bomber is now moving towards a critical design review, says Lieutenant General Arnold Bunch, the Air Force's military deputy for acquisition, during an 18th of April Senate Armed Services hearing. Critical design review is the next step before assembly of the first aircraft can begin. Northrop Grumman has also delivered the first set of software for the B-21 program, says Bunch. We are making good progress, he says. I'm comfortable today with where we're at, the progress that Northrop Grumman is making on the program. The US Air Force has released little detail on the schedule for the B-21's development and delivery, but said that the aircraft will be fielded in the mid-2020s. The service plans to buy 100 B-21s, enough to retire by 2040. Its fleet of 20 Northrop B-2 Spirit stealth bombers and 62 Boeing B-1B Lancer bombers. Citing military secrets, Bunch declined to say much more about the B-21 program. However, his US Air Force colleague, Lieutenant General Jerry Harris, who's the Deputy Chief of Staff for Strategic Plans and Requirements, appeared to indicate that the service may ask for funding to acquire dozens of additional B-21 Raiders. We would like to fix the 9 squadrons of bombers we have right now to give them more airplanes per squadron, and then continue to grow somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 to 16 squadrons that are ready for the mission, he said. Because the B-21 Raider is the only bomber in development at this time, it would likely to be a leading candidate to fulfill that vision of a larger bomber force.
Now, I had to look up this one because obviously I don't know these sorts of things. We have to ask Mr. Warner about these sorts of things. Sorry. B-21 Raider, it looks pretty awesome. If you've got the chance to look on Google and just Google this, the stealth strategic bomber manufactured by Northrop Grumman. But there's some quite interesting pictures actually of this on the various internet website kind of things. But look up the B-21 Raider. It looks quite awesome actually. So moving on to the next story, and this one is on Flight Global again as well.
This one is for Pip, obviously. And we've got it's fair to say that we're having a bit of a show where stuff is falling off, shall we say. Things are sort of like either running off runways or crashing onto tarmac and things like that.
Pip?
I can't read this one because it requires me to have a subscription, apparently.
Oh, what, a Flight Global?
The last story.
So.
Yeah, the last story.
Is it the last one? Are we skipping a story?
Yeah, that one was a bit iffy. On the, one of those subscription ones. That was, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. All right. I was always prepared for that one.
He'd signed up and everything.
Yeah. I gave him my credit card and everything.
Oh no!
All right.
Got horribly wrong.
This is from Flight Global, for which you do not need a subscription.
Excellent.
Very good.
Awesome site.
News source. F22 Raptor skids across the runway at the Navy's Top Gun school. A Lockheed Martin F-22A Raptor skidded on its belly across the runway of the Naval Air Station Fallon near Reno, Nevada on the 13th of April after a takeoff mishap. The pilot was able to exit the aircraft without major injuries, and the cause of the crash is unknown, though the incident is under investigation, said Anchorage, Alaska-based Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson Base. That's an awkward sentence. The aircraft is assigned to the base's third wing. The F-22A was in Nevada for mock dogfighting against fighter aircraft in the Navy Strike Fighter Tactics Instructor Program, also called Top Gun.
Whee!
Yay. Images on social media show the aircraft resting on the tarmac with its landing gear retracted. Joint Base Elmendorf said that the aircraft later was hoisted into a position where the landing gear could be extended and locked. It was then towed to a position where damage and repairs can be evaluated. Posts to the Facebook page Air Force Forum, which is not officially associated with the US Air Force, said that the aircraft suffered from a left engine flameout while the plane was taking off and raising its landing gear.
Oh.
Though those claims have not yet been independently verified. The cause of the accident is still under investigation, and it is not known at this time whether a landing gear, engine malfunction, or any other mechanical issue were factors in the incident, said somebody. Last paragraph. The crash at NAS Fallon comes after USAF recently, in December 2017, returned to service an F-22 Raptor damaged 6 years ago. That aircraft skidded across the runway of Tyndall Air Force Base in Florida when a trainee attempted a touch-and-go landing but mistakenly retracted the landing gear before pushing the throttle to military power. Oops! In addition to repairing scratches to the skin of the wing and the stabilator, the USAF replaced the skins and doors of the central and aft fuselage of that aircraft at a cost of only $35 million.
Lovely. I'll order another one immediately.
Yeah, that's an expensive mistake.
So the F-22, as Matt was saying earlier on the show, it's nearly a year since we were at the Wings Over Pittsburgh Air Show, and one of the things that stood out for me at that show was actually the F-22 done a fly past with a P-51 Mustang, and I've got a few pictures of that which I took at the show last year, and that was awesome seeing the F-22 fly alongside a P-51 Mustang. So that, good memories of that particular day.
Indeed. It was a good show, actually. Really enjoyed that. Our time there.
So that is where we bring the military segment to a close. And coming up next, we've had some lovely audio sent in by the awesome Armando, who I went up flying with a few weeks back. Really, really, really nice chap. If you ever get a chance to meet Armando,
and of course he's been to the Barn studio as well.
He's been to the Barn. He sat here, right next to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But anyway, he's on his jolly bobs, and he's gone to an Aero Expo. Is that the correct
Expo?
An Aero Expo. So what I'll do is I've got two pieces of audio I'm going to play for you. So let's play this first one because he describes to us basically where he is and what he's doing.
Hello, Carlos, Matt, Nev, everyone listening tonight. I guess officially this is Armando reporting live from Aero Expo 2018 in Friedrichshafen, Germany. This is Europe's largest general aviation air show, and as I'm sitting here recording this right now, I'm surrounded by some beautiful aircraft. There's a Piper Meridian M350, there's a Piper Archer with a diesel engine and a G1000 system. Over to my left, there's a Cirrus Vision Jet and a PC-12, Pilatus PC-12, PC-24, and just in front of me, there's a company from Scotland that does Alaskan-style bush training. So this is my first time here at Aero Expo, and there are no less than 10 large hangars full of everything aviation for everyone interested in aviation. There's everything for the home simmer, from you can build your own 737 cockpit to just a desktop simulator. There are ultralights, gyrocopters, LSAs. There's every kind of airplane here that you could imagine that flies in Europe. So as the couple days goes along, I've gotten some interviews for PT UK, and we'll try to get some more tomorrow morning. So enjoy.
And the first one of those interviews is involving the TAF3 Flamingo.
Hey guys, good morning. This is Armando from Aero Expo in Friedrichshafen. I'm here with Wilhelm Thaler from TAF3 Aircraft, and I'm standing next to this beautiful aircraft, the Flamingo. So I'm going to have Wilhelm tell us a little bit about this airplane. So what is the vision behind the Flamingo?
The aircraft can be used for cross-country, for aerobatic, for towing, and everyone with a PPL can at least fly everywhere in Europe without any restriction. And it's certified as an Annex 2 aircraft, so we have more or less no weight limitations. We have a very serious weight of 650 kilo max takeoff weight, and that gives the capacity to fly with 2 pilots, 90 liters of fuel for very reasonable costs, including the acrobatic and the towing.
Well, that's fantastic. So I know there's sort of the search for the aircraft that can do it all, and it seems like the Flamingo is pretty good at that. You guys targeted a little bit of every piece of aviation.
We are going to the flight schools, which wants a serious training. It is an advanced trainer. It's fully certified for acrobatic, including the engine, including a tank for inverted flights. It gives the speed and the performance of a Piper Aero for the cost of an ultralight, and everyone in the club can fly. And if they have gliders, they can even tow the aircraft. That gives a good utilization for very reasonable costs.
Well, speaking of the speed and power, actually, I was looking at the specifications for the aircraft, and it's 130 horsepower and 140 knots.
Yes.
So that's pretty impressive performance numbers.
That comes from a very advanced wing. Mm-hmm. The whole plane is made of carbon fiber. So we take the best material. We had very good engineers. A tandem seat gives very good aerodynamic values, and that ends up with these great numbers.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the engineers, why don't you tell us a little bit about the company, TAF3?
The company is a Slovenian company. There are quite a lot of aviation companies, so that's a cluster where a lot is maybe too much, but a serious number of very advanced people which are working in the aviation since long, and that gives us the resources to build this aircraft. Then we had to find some people which invest the money for the certification and for the production company. We were successful that way. Yeah. And now we end up with this ready product.
So tell me a little bit about the certification. You were telling me earlier that you were nearing the end of the certification process.
The certification process is pretty much finished. Pretty much means we will get the papers next month. Everything is approved by the authorities. The big challenge in these days is in which category you go. Either you go in the ultralight, where you have just very limited regulations, or you go to the fully certified aircraft, and we choose the way to go to Annex 2, which is basically a special aircraft, but the Annex 2 allows us to use an actual weight, not just paper figures. We have a good actual weight. You are not restricted in aerobatic, and we can use it for the PPL training. Yeah. And that's the reason why we have it.
Well, Wilhelm, let me tell you, as somebody who has been flying for over 20 years, if I had the opportunity to do my PPL training in a beautiful airplane like this one, I mean, the design, we're sitting here looking at it, and it's very much got that feeling of a fighter airplane, or, you know, with the tandem seating and the big bubble canopy. I think you guys have done a fantastic job in designing this aircraft. If our listeners wanted to find some more information on the Flamingo, where would they go?
Just go to our website, TAF3 Tango Alpha Foxtrot 3 Sierra India for Slovenia.
Okay,
that's all.
And let me ask you, how about yourself? How did you end up in aviation? How did you end up with TAF3 aircraft?
I ended up in the aviation as a young guy. I was amazed from flying.
Yeah.
I started as flight instructor, flying more and more. I finished my job as locksmith and went to the business aviation and was flying business jets, starting with citations and ending up on the big Gulf Streams, flying all around the world. And now I'm getting 60, have my own small flight school, and I still like it very much to work with the nice people and with nice airplanes.
That's great. That's a great story. I love hearing everybody's progression through their aviation careers. Now, we always finish with one question, and it's kind of a surprise question. If you could fly any airplane in the world, current or past, what would it be?
The Alpha Jet.
The Alpha Jet.
The Alpha Jet is a great plane. Great performance, so easy to fly, perfect handling. That was by far the best I ever had in my hand.
Fantastic. Well, Wilhelm, thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing your guys' progress as you get the certification complete.
It was a pleasure. I keep you informed.
Thank you.
Let you know.
We're redundant.
I know. Every time someone sends in an interview or something like that they've done, and I just think, blimey, that's us out of the job.
And all done on an iPhone, I'm pleased to say.
iPhone?
Yeah, it was all done
Really?
on an iPhone. Yeah, genuinely. Yeah.
That's why the quality was so good. Wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You tell him, Nev. You tell him.
Oh, dear.
So we're going to start wrapping things up, basically because I'm so worried about Nev now that I'm so desperately concerned.
Poor Nev.
So Pip, obviously, you were saying at the top of the show that you're off sort of home soon. So what sort of a week have you got ahead when you get back?
I've got a week off when I get back. Not back flying till week on Sunday, I think.
Oh,
I might try and get up in my little PA-28 perhaps. Yeah. You know, I wish I could get hold of one of these Flamingos. I'm just having a look at the website here. It looks like a really funky aeroplane.
It does, doesn't it? It looks really good. It popped up on the photos.
A little unusual with the kind of one behind each other for PPL training purposes. You don't often see that. I wonder how practical that would be. But anyway, that looks like a great aeroplane. That was a nice.
It'd certainly be fun to have the controls of, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, a bit more manoeuvrable and exciting than my little PA-28.
And of course, this expo, Aero Expo, is actually more aimed at what I call like it's more it's not aimed at commercial, is it? It's literally aimed at people with their general aviation, isn't it? Is that correct?
Apparently so. Yeah, I've not been to it before. I've been to Frederikshavn a few times, but I've not been to the expo.
Yeah, there's actually this one here in the UK, an Aero Expo UK. That's happening on the 14th to the 16th of June this year, and that's a similar kind of setup. Again, lots of GA stuff there. So it's another one of those places that I'd like to go.
Yeah, indeed. Nev, you got much on this week?
Yes, I think it's been another busy week. Up and down the motorways of the United Kingdom for me.
What a treat, yes.
And it's up to Cheshire later in the week and all sorts of places. So, yeah, no flying, but yes, lots of driving this week.
Oh, what a real treat for you. It's safe to say I haven't really got a lot going on this week. Carlos, what about you?
This week. I just, enjoying the back to normal British weather.
The rain
to the forecast,
yes,
the weather.
Great,
and I think I'm hoping just to get back here to the studio. The next couple of jobs I've got on the PTUK studio will be fitting the on-air light, getting that wired in, and also we're going to put the studio lights up, which are just up there, which are giving us the light in the studio today. For that, so get those up, and then obviously we've got the desk being put in
Wednesday or
sort of later
week,
half of the week. So
Indeed.
and we'll be kind of
once that deck's
pushing
in,
there,
we'll be really close to doing our first show from there, which I'm really quite excited about.
Exciting, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway, before Nev freezes to death, literally.
Yeah, we are going to say a massive thanks to everyone who's joined us tonight in the live chat room. Loads and loads of people, and a great conversation in the chat room as always. You lot are awesome. So thanks to you guys, and also a massive thanks as well, not forgetting those guys and girls around the world who download the show each week via iTunes and all the other podcasting platforms, including Spotify. Yes, we are now officially on Spotify. If you want to get in touch with us, it's www.planetalkinguk.com. It is facebook.com/planetalkinguk, and our email address is @planetalkinguk. Why not write to us and put yourself forward for a Nev's passenger experience? And you can talk to Nev about any flying experiences that you may or may not have had. We particularly enjoy the bad ones, but you could go slightly against the grain and say that no.
I could give you one right now for American Airlines.
Oh, really? Uh-oh.
Rubbish.
Okay.
Rubbish.
Negative experience. Right, good.
It would have been nice if just one of them had smiled.
Right. Do you know what? That's were they, just out of curiosity, were they an American crew or English crew?
American Airlines, they were generally American.
No, I know.
No, it was all right. I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, you say that. It's just that because we did United coming back, and we had a UK crew bringing us home, and they were so miserable.
Really?
I've never experienced anything. Well, the crew was predominantly with English people. Like, you know, you can tell English people because it's that sort of upper lip where it's a bit sort of like stilted and rubbish. You know, but
no, my flights out here, it was all right, but I definitely got the impression that the crew considered the passengers to be a hindrance
on their social
but they would
lives,
rather we just weren't there.
Fair enough. I could understand that.
But you know, probably the end of a long week for them, and they just want to get home. But I got another American Airlines flight tomorrow, Airbus A330. Hopefully they'll be a little bit happier to see me.
Who knows? The impossible may indeed happen.
And when's the next show due out, Pip?
Oh,
okay, all right.
It's about all I can say to that.
Anyway, that aside, there is an excellent.
I might try and record on tomorrow.
There is an excellent back catalogue if you haven't listened to and are not up to date as far as Pip's podcast is. Where will they find access to your show, sir?
Oh gosh, it's been so long. On the interweb.
Yes.
Planesafetypodcast.com. Is where you can go to find those shows from all that time ago. It's been a while. Sorry, folks, if people are keen.
It is.
I'll do another one.
It is our Twitter handle, by the way, which I missed off the end there, is @PlaneTalkingUK. If you would like to join us for a live show, please do. I thank you very much to everyone who downloads the show offline and listens to it in the form of a podcast. We are eternally grateful, as always, for you doing that. But if you'd like to join us for a live show, make sure you follow our social media pages, and there we will post when we are live. I think next week we're going for a similar time as this week, so Friday at 7 p.m, and we'll try and be as punctual as possible.
Well, we were this week.
We were indeed.
You done really well, Matt.
Thank you very much. Well done, me.
And actually, there's a few comments in the chat room, Matt, which you'll know this because you love this show.
Yes.
Red Dwarf. Holly.
Holly.
Doesn't Nev?
Yes, Nev looks like Holly, doesn't he? Yeah, this is.
Oh, I see. Yes.
yeah. There we go. Look, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, this is it. You got to do the show like this every week now, I'm afraid, Nev.
No, just next week. It is back in the studio.
Is it? Okay. You're just no fun, honestly.
No, next week Nev will be man flu and everything.
Bronchitis, the whole thing. Yeah.
Sorry, Nev.
Anyway, let's wrap up so this lovely man can get back in the warm.
So that is where we bring episode number 213 to a close. Thanks again to everyone for joining us. You're all an awesome bunch, and don't forget to come and join us again next Friday. So from me, Carlos, it's have a great weekend and take care, everyone.
From me, Matt, here it is. Goodbye, Nev.
Yeah, take care. Have a nice week, folks. See you next week.
And the legend that is Pilot Pip.
From currently very sunny Columbus, Ohio. See you later.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.